Despicable fake tears at Bondi Beach, using a terrorist atrocity to sell her shitty clothing. On stage at the not sold out Her Best Life retreat for just 122 minutes before deciding to be booed at the football alongside her husband, Prince Harry. The MSM will not give you the truth about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's disaster tour, but Outspoken will. So let's go. Kicking off with this decision, and I do want to remind you that when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were in Jordan, they actually visited an organization connected to the Palestinians that have direct terrorist supporters working for it. So I think the fact that she was even deciding to go to Bondi Beach and all of a sudden care about an anti-Semitic Islamist terror attack was disgusting anyway, but the fake tears made me ill. We know that's what you did. As that one said, Meghan's most difficult acting part so far, alongside this video. If I was to visit Bondi Beach after a terrible tragedy, the last thing I would do is have a faux walkabout. I certainly wouldn't be laughing and smiling, not to mention posing in the clothes I was planning on merching later. And that is exactly what she did. And Tom Sykes, who I actually think is one of the people who is pretty fair on the Sussexes, he is disgusted. He is completely disgusted about this, writing on his Substack, The Royalist, Meghan just turned a massacre site into an online shopping mall. It really shouldn't need saying, but when you are meeting people affected by an anti-Semitic mass shooting, making a quick buck off the event is a revolting dereliction of one's duty. And then he says, not as a royal, as a human. He went on, selling the clothes off her own back at the site of a massacre where 15 people died might come easily to Meghan, but like any right-minded person, I find this sickening. Well done, Tom Sykes. So do I. Much as I found it sickening earlier in the week when the clothes she wore when visiting a children's cancer hospital were put on the platform. Meghan then changed before going to a veterans art event later in the day and also put that outfit online. Why not go the whole hog and start selling jam crepes out of a trailer in the fucking car park? How wise the Queen was when she advised this foolish, impatient, know-it-all couple not to try and combine a life of service with a life of profit, and how idiotic they were to ignore her. And by the way, the whole life of profit thing ain't going too well, because Meghan embarrassingly turned up to the Her Best Life retreat. They got her for 122 minutes. That was all. Because Meghan decided it was more important to join her husband, Prince Harry, at a Waratahs game. And by the way, no one was happy to see her there either. What was actually most interesting was just the silence apart from a few boos. There were no cheers. There was no interest. Everyone at the Waratahs game was just like, what? Wait, it's no longer William, whose hair is alarming the world. It's Harry, who looked alarmingly bald from behind. Now, Meghan Markle started the day with a walk around the beaches of Sydney. But for me, I actually found the whole thing incredibly awkward. I don't think Meghan Markle is good with children. And I think we see that time and time again. Sidley posted, as a former teacher, Meghan's interaction with this little girl is unsettling. She deliberately avoids eye contact so the child understands the interaction is over, even as the girl tries to keep her attention. This isn't new behavior because she seems to be good at it. Meghan knows exactly how to shut children down when she's finished with them. It's disgusting, in my opinion. And by the way, anyone who thinks that Meghan's new AI website to sell her clothes is in some way turning her into a fashion icon, I think is wrong. I actually agree with Shane Watson in the Daily Mail, who wrote, "Who on earth would want to buy any of Meghan's Australian looks? Thus stiff, impractical, and worst of all, horribly aging." To royal YouTube sensation P. Diner now, who has been following the escapades of this tour all week. And P. Diner, it started badly, okay, with that stunt at the Australian hospital. But I would argue this final day, P. Dinah, has been even more morally repugnant. Because for Meghan Markle, given what she did in Jordan and given the organizations that she has cozied up to try and say that she cares about the victims of the Bondi Beach massacre is gross in itself. But we know how she acts. And the fact that she genuinely turned on those fake tears in front of the international media was, for me, a new low. And as I say, this has been a week of lows.
And she has very dead eyes. Her eyes are so hollow and shallow, and I can see the grift when I look at her eyes. It's disgusting. We can't forget when she went to Uvalde. She flew to Uvalde just to take pictures at a memorial site of children who were killed at a school. This is a woman who will go to great depths to be pictured next to people who have suffered horrible tragedies. And the kind of person that does this is of the lowest of the lows. We look at what she has done to her own family, and the fact that she's able to turn up in these different settings and to be welcomed and to have all this orchestrated tells me that there is something supporting this at a higher level. I don't know how this can even happen. I mean, we can see it happening. How is someone who does these horrible things allowed to be put in these positions to help her uplift herself or her brand and to sell clothing nonetheless? It makes absolutely no sense to me how this is even able to happen.
Yeah, P. Dinah, I do want to talk about the fact that her best life, which was the real grift of the tour, right? Because she's actually asking genuine fans to hand over thousands and thousands of dollars to spend time at what was effectively a high-class booze cruise, and yet she doesn't bother to stay. She doesn't stay there, P. Dinah. She gets out as quickly as possible to join Harry at the rugby. Now, you know what? Actually, if you are charging that much money, P. Dinah, on your name, surely she could have stayed at this event. I think, again, it just shows you how much she is prepared to take the piss out of the very few people who do support her, because remember, these tickets never sold out, despite the lies from the couple.
Yeah, she doesn't even bother to even give her presence for an extended amount of time. I mean, she's out as quickly as she came, and that is, to me, it tells you everything about who this woman actually is. And so for the people that paid this money, yeah, that is to be expected, because that is the character of Meghan Markle. She doesn't care that you spent this money to see her. She is wanting to earn her money and leave as quickly as she can, because she just does not care. And I think that's part of her brand. Her brand is, I don't care about you. Spend your money. I don't care. And people, okay, I'll spend my money because we know you don't care, but we care. I mean, it makes no sense why people would even engage this woman with their dollars, their hard-earned dollars. I mean, she is a joke. And I believe the reason why she's in Australia, because she has been run out of all the other places. Hollywood sees her coming a mile away. And so this grift that she has going on in Australia, remember that people of a very high level in Hollywood are watching this, and they see what she is doing, and they're not fooled by her. You know, she was pinned the disaster tourist, right, by Justine Bateman. So yeah, they know what Meghan is all about, and she's going to grift and keep doing it. And it seems like she's found the people that will help her grift.
The mainstream media coverage of this, P. Dinah, in the UK, the Daily Telegraph, for example, saying Harry and Meghan have got exactly what they wanted. What was at its inception a small private-ish trip for commercial gigs has turned into a 4-day expedition with the royal route map never far away. As of now, it appears that the Sussexes have got close to exactly what they were seeking, as per their 2020 statement after the Sandringham Summit, a progressive new role in the institution and to be members of the royal family with financial independence. And the Daily Mail, covering this on its front page, but invoking P. Dinah, the late Queen Elizabeth II, as they absolutely should. The royal editor Rebecca English, very connected to Buckingham Palace, writing, while there is a definite sense of irritation in royal circles, there have been no renewed conversations, I am told, about the king, stripping them of their titles and Harry's place in the order of succession, something that the public, at least on social media, have begun to call for loudly again. The palace fears any suggestion of defenestration would add to the Sussexes' sense of injustice, particularly given how long it took for the former Prince Andrew, who has currently been investigated over a serious criminal offence, to be stripped of his. It's clearly irritating, but the feeling is just that the institution needs to roll with the punches in order to keep moving forwards, one source with knowledge of their thinking remarked tactfully. Another added slightly more testily, I think the general public make up their minds about that pair long ago, probably best to let it lie at that. One well-placed source previously close to the late monarch, however, that's Queen Elizabeth II, told me of the Sussexes' Australian jaunt. While I am not going to speculate on what Her late Majesty would have thought about all this, I can tell you with utmost certainty that this is exactly what she tried to ensure wouldn't happen. So, P. Dinah, I'm almost like Harry pulling out my hair. There's nothing left because, seriously, no, Charles, no. You can't just roll your eyes and let this lie. But, P. Dinah, confirmation. Under Charles's reign, no discussion about stripping the titles, no discussion about removal from the line of succession. So, my God, Prince William does have a reason to be angry.
What Meghan is doing, it is, I believe, it's criminal. It's criminal to sell clothing, to sell your wares off of the backs of tragedy. Who would allow this, especially with your branding of the title? How can this even happen? I mean, there needs to be protections to the people who are being grifted. They are the ones that need protection. I mean, I know a lot of horrible things happened with Andrew. He lost his title. But do we not see horrible things happening here? The clear taking advantage of sick children and using people in their tragedy to help build your commercial brand. That is something that people need protected against. I think there needs to be something done about Meghan and this whole title that she is using, that she is trying to make money off of. I mean, that is something that needs to be, something needs to be done about it. There needs to be protections for the people who are taken advantage of. They don't see that. Why is the king not acting on it? It is infuriating to see this woman take this half in, half out, which we know the queen did not want, and she is allowed to do it at an extent that I could not even imagine. I mean, selling your clothes, really, Meghan? She is so low. I'm just appalled that the king is doing nothing, absolutely nothing about this. How is this possible? Unless, of course, they are helping.
Exactly, they're in on it. They're in on it, which is the growing suggestion.
But you know what? When I think about the hospital, how is it that she's allowed to go to this hospital? The administrators are clearly told to allow this to happen. I think we have clear proof, yes, that they are being backed by the monarchy, I believe.
Well, Richard Eden has written on this in the Daily Mail today. You know, he's the guy who's come up with the idea of Operation Thor, which is parts of the establishment, including the likes of Boris Johnson, trying to make it more palatable for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to return long-term to the United Kingdom. He wrote on this today, P. Dinah, the establishment plot thickens, and he reveals the fears inside Catherine and William's camp as Harry and Meghan put on a royal show down under, as rumours about the couple's return to Britain swirl. And he wrote, what we are seeing shows why the Queen, as in Queen Elizabeth II, was right not to allow Harry and Meghan to mix money-making with royal duties, one friend of William and Catherine tells me. In my own opinion, young cancer victims can end up looking like props to help the Sussexes make money. It's extremely dangerous for the monarchy. The public need to know that royals are carrying out engagements out of a sense of duty, not to provide window dressing for a lucrative foreign tour. So Richard Eden does think this is part of the establishment plot, P. Dinah.
I just think that Meghan is at a position now where this is going to continue. It is definitely, it's a plot. It's something that is happening. It's being emboldened. It is going to continue to grow. And at this point, I mean, I'm just at a loss for words. I really am. I don't know what to even think of all of this. It's just so despicable to me that you could be doing something that should be out of a sense of duty. And to me, it looks like they're cheapening royalty. Royalty has become very cheap to me. It's become disdain. And if this is something that is allowed to happen, I feel like I don't want anything to do with it because there is no sense of duty. There is no sense of doing it because you have a connection to the people you are trying to help. You are trying to support them to, find cures for the diseases, donate money to the organizations. It's not about the photo op. The photo op is used to help the people that you are there visiting, not to help the person there that is visiting make money. Its royalty has taken a big turn and it has become something very ugly. Every time she uses that Duchess of Sussex, I am disgusted because we know it is to make money for Meghan. It's not about the people. And I'm all about helping the people, the underprivileged, the disadvantaged. And they are the ones who are being taken advantage of here. And that is clearly being allowed to happen.
Very well put, Pete. And I guess all I would say is that at least we know Prince William and Catherine do not believe that this is sustainable, do not believe that this is appropriate, and they are the future of the monarchy, thank goodness.
Let's start with the reason Harry and Meghan were at Bondi Beach in the first place. The visit took place in the aftermath of the horrific attack associated with Bondi Beach. Harry and Meghan met people affected by the tragedy, including survivors and first responders. That immediately made the appearance much more serious than an ordinary celebrity visit. There was grief, there was trauma, and there were people whose lives had been directly affected. That is why Meghan's emotional reaction became such a major talking point. Supporters saw someone responding emotionally to heartbreaking stories. Critics saw something completely different. And that disagreement is at the center of today's controversy. During the visit, Meghan became visibly emotional while speaking with people affected by the tragedy. Her critics immediately questioned whether those tears were genuine. The commentary we're examining goes much further, describing the moment as an acting performance and suggesting that Meghan was deliberately producing emotion because cameras were present. But here is where we need to be careful. We cannot know someone's internal emotional state simply by watching a video. A person can cry in front of cameras and still be genuinely emotional. A person can also be conscious of cameras while experiencing genuine emotion. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. So when someone says, "Those were fake tears," what they're really expressing is an interpretation of the footage, not an established fact. That distinction matters. The footage described in the commentary shows Meghan speaking emotionally about the people she met and the horror they experienced. She also interacted with a mother who was processing what had happened to her daughter. Those are incredibly emotional circumstances. And regardless of what anyone thinks about Meghan Markle personally, we should be cautious about claiming that someone was pretending to feel grief when we cannot actually know what they were feeling. Criticism of a public figure is fair. Questioning their public presentation is fair. But claiming certainty about another person's private emotions requires evidence. So why did the Bondi appearance provoke such intense criticism? One reason is the argument that Meghan was allegedly combining public service with commercial promotion. The commentary focuses heavily on the clothes she wore and argues that items associated with her appearance were subsequently promoted or made available commercially. Critics therefore asked whether a tragedy-related visit should ever be connected to fashion promotion. That's a legitimate question to debate. But it is important to distinguish between. The clothing was later associated with a commercial brand. And Meghan visited Bondi Beach specifically to sell clothing. The first can be examined through the public record. The second is an assumption about her motive. One of the strongest criticisms quoted in the commentary comes from royal commentator Tom Sykes. He argues that Meghan's clothing promotion made the site of a massacre look like a commercial opportunity. That is an extremely harsh assessment. The criticism essentially asks whether someone visiting people affected by a tragedy should simultaneously be associated with commercial branding. It's a question that goes beyond Meghan personally. It raises a broader issue about celebrities and public figures. When does personal branding become inappropriate during an appearance connected to tragedy? Different viewers will have very different answers. Some will say celebrities are allowed to wear clothing and maintain businesses while undertaking charitable work. Others will argue that such occasions should be completely separated from commerce. The commentary also connects the Bondi controversy with another incident involving clothing worn during a visit to a children's cancer hospital. The presenter argues that clothing associated with Meghan's appearance was subsequently promoted online. That became part of a larger criticism that Meghan allegedly struggles to separate her commercial activities from her public-facing charitable work. But once again, viewers should distinguish between the fact that an outfit may later be promoted and the much stronger claim that the charitable visit itself was conducted for commercial purposes. Those are two different allegations. And the second one requires much stronger evidence. The commentary then moves away from Bondi Beach and focuses on Meghan's appearance at the Her Best Life retreat. The presenter is highly critical of the event and claims that it did not sell out. He also mocks the amount of time Meghan spent on stage and emphasizes the ticket prices. This is clearly designed to support a broader narrative that Meghan's commercial ventures are struggling. But again, we should be careful with claims about ticket sales unless they are independently verified. A public event can generate controversy for many reasons. Ticket availability alone doesn't necessarily tell us whether an event was commercially successful. Most importantly, do you think Harry and Meghan still have the same level of public support in Australia that they once enjoyed? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to CrownScope Media for royal family news, celebrity commentary, breaking stories, and in-depth analysis. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next royal story.